So the topic, the cultural phenomenon I want to dissect a bit and get into a bit today is this phenomenon we've been seeing. I think it's been going on for quite a few years already and still seems to have some legs yet. It's this phenomenon of you are loved. This thing that people will say. A lot of times it's said online. I've seen I've seen it expressed in many different contexts. I can't quite recall all of them, but this kind of you are loved on cards and you are loved, this you are loved phenomenon. And I want to pick this apart a bit, share what I think of the origins of this, some of the dark shadow side of it, and yeah, for the purpose and why, because I think I think it's important to bring light to the subtle factors that are going on within things that aren't entirely clear, as this can help us navigate things, give proper clarity and compassion, understanding how to navigate it, when to how to interact with it with the right distances, I feel like, to create, because a lot of these things that I'm describing, I don't feel like they're coming from a harmful place, but when there are harmful elements underneath the surface, depending on how you engage with it, you can poke those things or not. And I think it's important to be intentional and thoughtful as we can. Some people, maybe it's in the right context, we should give a poke in a loving way, and other times, it's important, I think, to let things run their course and keep a distance and not get so entangled in people that are just doing what they want to do. But I think it is important to bring awareness to these things, as I think, there's a lot there can be harm caused unintentionally, and it's just important to bring awareness to these subtle factors. So yeah, you are loved. It's so many. I don't know about anybody else, but when I see that, as much as I want to appreciate it and like it, I just have a feeling. I get this unpleasant, uncomfortable feeling when I see that. It attacks me somehow, and I'm very sensitive to authenticity and kind of passive aggression and things like that. So I think that's partly what it's activating, and so insincerity. I'm really affected by these things, and I have a radar for them. So yeah, to me, I think it comes from a good place when there's a big mental health crisis in the United States and in other parts of the West and the world, and of course this is coming from a lack of care and love in so many different layers of life. And shouldn't everybody feel like they're loved? Shouldn't everybody feel like they're accepted? And of course, yes, everybody deserves to have, to be able to be themselves if they're not hurting anybody. And well, that's another big topic, but everybody deserves to have their own unique expression. Everyone deserves to feel safe. Everyone deserves to not feel like there's something wrong with them. I think even in when I was working in psychiatric units, I met people that had done really terrible things, and this was a really existential question for me, is okay, I know this person has done a terrible, inexcusable thing. Should I be mean to this person? Can I be caring towards them and not feel like I'm bypassing something, or I'm enabling something? And it took me a bit of reflection, but I finally realized that no, even though someone has done something terrible, evil even, I can still, in certain contexts, be caring and caring and loving towards them, and that can be okay, because I also, someone that does something very heinous, they deserve punishment a lot of the times. That's why jails are there. That's why fines and different things are there. When you do something really bad, you get punished, and just that punishment should be, that should be what punishes them. We don't also need to treat them in an inhuman way. I think they, I don't know, I think maybe they go perhaps a little, I don't know exactly all the details, but I know in Sweden and Scandinavian countries, they treat prisoners really well, which makes sense to me in a way. Like, you treat someone in an inhuman way and they just get worse. So it's like, obviously it makes sense to treat someone in a human way. And if you need to have punishments and boundaries, someone needs to be in jail because they can't be trusted and they're violent and harmful, you put them in jail and you restrict them, and you can treat them like a person there, and maybe they can improve it. There's a lot of people in prison that go on to do amazing things and get passionate about certain causes. So, so I think it's important to treat people with dignity and respect. And so you are loved. But the thing is when it's insincere, then it's a problem, because if I'm saying you are loved, and that's not really what I'm saying, because you can't just say those words and have them be true. Like, if it's not embodied, if it's not true for you, if you haven't really worked through your stuff to say that with knowingness, you are loved, you are loved. Like, can I really say that about someone else? Like, I can say maybe I love you, I can say maybe God loves you if I truly believe that, which I do. But if you're just saying you are loved, it's, if you're not really meaning that from the depths of yourself, then it's insincere. And anytime, any child can intuitively know when someone's being insincere for them. Every child knows that there's when a parent's telling them something that's contradictory or insincere, you can feel that, you can sense it. And as adults, maybe we get conditioned and we intellectualize things and we get out of touch with our intuition, but children know that, people in the mental hospital definitely know that, the sensitive ones know that. You can feel these things. And so when it's insincere, it's causing harm, because I'm telling someone you are loved. That person maybe believes, okay, I'm loved, but they don't feel it. It's not really true in that communication. So it causes a disconnect, and it can cause, if I'm loved, why don't I feel loved? It can cause all sorts of problems. But when someone expresses love, when that love is there for someone else, everything they do from that place of love is going to contain that energy, which is one of the world's most powerful energies. And so, love heals, love mends things, love creates miracles and revolutions in ways. And so if I feel love towards someone, and if I have an expression, like I hope in these videos that you can't hide your energy. So if I have care in my heart, if I have love, and if I have sincere desire to help and to care and to connect, all these things, like, that should be evidence in every word I say. I don't need to necessarily say the words you are loved. And of course it can help, but the thing is, if I'm saying it from a place of preachingness, if I'm saying it from a place of goal-orientedness or fear, I want you to be loved, I think you should know that you're loved, but I don't necessarily feel it, then it becomes spiritual bypassing. It becomes, it just adds another layer on the cake, and that gets very confusing. And just something more to disentangle for people that aren't really able to be aware of these different nuances. So, and when we say, like, you are loved, like, what do you mean you? Like, who is loving, who's loving you? Is it me? Is it someone else? Like, it's just kind of this vague statement that people say in order to hope that people don't feel bad about themselves, which is great. Like, people shouldn't feel bad about themselves for how they look or what their identity is or what they believe, if it's not harming anybody else. If it's not violent, towards and harmful towards other people. But, to just say that in a blanket way, it's just, spiritual bypassing. And so then, what's really there, what's really underneath it, and it just becomes this kind of hypocritical statement. So, so I think it's important, and I think it's true, like, everybody is love. The divine every religion, every saint will say the same thing, is that God's love is there and that we have access to it every time, every moment. But, of course we don't feel that every moment, and we don't have access to that every moment for various reasons. And if you say you are loved and you expect people, not everybody is loved by people. Love is very hard to come by these days. People are liked for how much, people are liked for how much they make other people happy, or giving other people what they want a lot of times. And not everybody really is loved, and that by people that they know. And that's kind of the thing that no one says, is like, not everybody is loved, and it might be politically incorrect to say that, but people only can people can only give what they are able to, and not everybody is able to give that type of love. People have conflicts with each other, and people have their own stuff that they're working on, and not everybody has a capacity for love. And so, yeah, on the one hand, it's totally understandable, and we don't want to, it's a reaction to, people of our previous generations who maybe didn't express care. They didn't see that, in terms of parents or society, like, they don't really see someone as they are. They're valuing people by expectations, by how well they perform. Did you get married? Did you have children? Do you have a good job that society approves of? Are you, do you look this way or that way? People have these conditionings to what is lovable, I guess, in many circles. And so that expectation, there's like a rebellion against that, and people just want to say, hey, you, just as you are, like, you're loved. But if you're saying it without the capacity to actually embody that, then it gets a little dicey. So let me see what else I have. Yeah, I think that's basically it. And I think a lot of this, like, a lot of these types of things, like, positivity, different types of positivity and inclusion, they're all coming from this space of spirituality and healing, where, like, we're, more and more people know, more and more people realize, like, just the way I am enough. I can be okay. And that's true, but there's also, an asterisk by it, like, so yes, I am loved. However, if I have all these wounds in my personality, and I'm lashing out at people and angry and self-sabotaging myself, like that, I don't have love for myself, so I'm not going to really receive love. So of course it's, like, so important that everybody feels love, feels safe, and feels, accepted in a way. But also practically, like, to make space for that to exist, we have to do often a lot of inner work of letting go of conditionings, of also letting go of resentments, and letting go of, certain paradigms. Like, if everybody's just saying everything that they want without considering others, it's going to be very difficult to like people, unless you agree with everything they're saying. If there's someone that has no consideration for other people's feelings, and they're just saying, I feel this and you did that, and it's kind of an extreme example, but it's like, that person wants to be loved too. Everybody wants to be loved. The person that's lashing out, the person that's angry, the person that's self-sabotaging, on some level they want to be loved, but at the same time, when they're an adult and they're doing this, and if they're not looking at those parts of themselves that are afraid, and working through, and reparenting themselves and accepting themselves, and making, giving themselves more responsibility, working on their own sense of deeper trust, deeper trust and deeper safety that's not conditioned on how other people treat and behave towards them. If someone's not working on those things, then you can say you're loved all you want, but you're not going to be able to receive that love, because the wounds of the past, the wounds of culture, are preventing that from getting in. We have to let go in order to receive love. So So on the one hand, it's a beautiful idea, utopian idea, that everyone should feel accepted and loved and just the way that they are. And it's true, God is like that. And there are people also that are very, non-judgmental and things like that. But it takes, especially in fragmented societies that don't give good examples of care and love, like in the West, it seems like that's, where in the United States, I think that's certainly the case, is a lot of the systems that exist are kind of like pulling apart the bonds of love in many different ways and creating more separation and disconnect. And so it's hard to find examples of that, of people. It's harder and harder to find examples of people who are loving and who are non-judgmental and who appreciate differences of opinion, differences of expression, and differences of energies. And so, Amma says that there's two types of poverty. There's the poverty of material goods and there's the poverty of love. And if you fix the poverty of love, then everything else will fall into place. It's my paraphrase. And it's like, the more we cultivate our inner love through doing, through not only we do our inner work, but also, our environment, of course, is also so important to have a supportive environment. But we do the inner work and we let go of our judgments of ourselves. We work on our judgments of others. We're doing spiritual practices and and putting ourselves in healthy environments. And the more we feel safe and strong and supported, then the more we're not threatened by differences. So the more fear there is, the more instability there is, the harder it is to love people. And the more we feel safe within ourselves, we're not going to be threatened by someone who has a difference, and we're going to be able to appreciate and care about people of all different types. So you are loved. I am loved. We're all loved, and at the same time, just be aware about, I'd encourage people to be aware and be discerning about what these things are actually saying, and why, and maybe it'll help you refrain from engaging in these like spiritual bypassing patterns that I think are actually causing harm, because they're just not authentic. They're not real. To heal, we have to actually get in there and let go and say, okay, so, sometimes I don't love. Sometimes I am angry and I don't like that people are doing this, or it's painful for me when people do that, or we have to actually work through that kind of stuff, and also create like healthy patterns, create healthy relationships and healthy systems. And it's also, something's coming to mind. Amma says, it's like hate the behavior but not the person. So we should be able to love others, but also that doesn't mean we approve of every behavior they do, everything they say. But we should still have that basic like love and respect, and maybe we need to have some distance from them. But then that's part of the spiritual work and the relational work that can be very challenging. And Ramakrishna said, love everyone but at a distance, which really changed the way that I interacted in the world and saw people in the world, because we don't need to. Love looks different. Love can be just the energy of feeling. It doesn't need to be we are everybody's best friend. So these are my thoughts. I hope you've gained something from listening, and there are more topics like this will be coming in the future, I'm sure. I like to dissect this and to get into the different layers, and if you resonated, if you disagree, feel free to drop a comment. And as usual, let's just take a few deep breaths, reconnect to ourselves on a deeper level. Just create some space and observe what's happening in our mind, our energy, our sensations. Wishing you such a beautiful day, and see you next time.